33 years ago, in 1989, I was just completing a journey with the Roy Hart Theatre and a teacher called Boris Moore in Paris. I would go over to Paris every month for the weekend and work with a group of about 15 people doing Roy Hart Theatre style voice work. I came back from that. I hadn't done the voice movement therapy training. I hadn't written my first opera for Lontano, but at that point, I had so much clarity about the power of the transformational potential of vocal work with improvisation and full body, full self engagement, that I took it upon myself to work with a number of people privately. And I already knew what the power of the work was before I'd even done the work with Paul Newham called voice movement therapy. And then when I came across his flyer in a cinema in Belsize Park, I thought, wait a minute, I know this guy, this is what but he's done it, he's doing, and I joined without a second thought, and found that I took to it like a duck to water, and that I had already really the skills to do it. I just didn't have the form in terms of like a way of presenting it. I was just starting intuitively to do it. I had the clients after the Roy Hart Theatre work. I called myself a composer who was exploring voice, and that was as far as it had gone. But I could see intuitively that, I mean, I had somebody who was working with me who had been through an abusive situation, and the work just was so simpatico to that kind of thing. And it provided so much of its own resolutions to its own suffering, which I thought was extraordinary. It was like if you followed the threads, the journey unfolded very organically. You had to just get really clear about holding the space and bringing in this full spectrum voice and listening with compassion and discernment, and stuff starts to happen. So then to go on to do the voice movement therapy and to have this introduction to the 4 floors of Vocal House was the beginning of seeing how this could be a thing that was actually a practice, rather than something that was just coming from this very sort of intuitive, natural place. And then doing, my compositions and my interest in improvisation and in indigenous music from particularly the flamenco tradition. And I went in the early 90s to Seville and Madrid with a choreographer, and we were exploring something called physical vocal theatre. And she directed my first opera. So we did Inanna and then we did Spirit Child. And both those operas were using a mix of singers from the classical world and from the non-classical world. We had the wonderful Shannon Jones, the late great Shannon Jones, whose voice defies any kind of categorization with us. And we also worked with the great Mari Angel, and we worked with Vivian Ellis, who's got a speciality in early music. We worked with Maria Jadadotia, who has studied Indian music and jazz music and is a free improviser. So I have been moving across the spectrum from voice work as a healing modality and as a creative expressive modality, working with top singers from a variety of genres. And I'm just at this point now where I see that the work and my integration of it is sort of sufficiently embedded in me as to wish to want to pass on as much as I can of the techniques and the transmissables. And the minute you start working with improvisation, the whole person is present, and there is no separation. Life is rising in every single moment, and so you could see the fertility of that context as a workshop space for how to journey through yourself. Here it all is, and it seems to be the right moment to pass it on. That is what I'm hearing in my heart to do. So I'm lucky to be able to give it a go, and I hope you might investigate the apprenticeship, which is all online at the vocaltaichi.com website. Thank you.